The mic has now been unmuted. Good evening. Welcome back to Virtual Pool 4 Online. Mic is on. I'm not just talking for 3 minutes and wasting my time with the mic muted. That's the one thing that I remember to double check. We're here on Sunday night. What day is this? Or what date is it? The 6th of February 2022. I've got the rest of the week off. I don't care. I'm doing nothing. We're here for another match in the this year's Virtual Pool 4 World Straight Pool Championship, and I think it's the second round match that we're going to have in the tournament. It's between Sergeresh and Woody, who's arrived about 10 minutes ago, although he's not practicing. I don't know whether he's a straight pool player or not. I think he's got a high run in the tournament, maybe of 31. We can have a look at that anyway. And that match is due to start in about 21 minutes time. Sergeresh was here. I think he's been here for quite a bit today. I've dropped in now and again just looking around. Although, excuse me, he has left the building at the moment. He may well have gone to get something to eat before his match. At least I don't see him there. I think now I've got the hiccups. That's my dinner coming back on me. Good evening to Jose. We're here a little bit earlier though because there is a match that was unscheduled. It started 40 minutes ago on the one loss side, and it's underway at the moment. And that's a match between Ice Age and Eloquenti. Let's have a look. Where's Eloquenti? He's from Germany, according to that. And Ice Age, how's he spell it? Oh, there he is. And according to that, Ice Age is from Australia. So they're up and running at the moment. What we'll do is we'll drop in and have a quick look and see how things are going here. Oh, I need to change the cloth colour. Hang on a minute. That's not what I want. I want blue. So, well, Eloquenti's building up a lead here by the look of it. 71 points to 33. The one loss side is a race to 150. And Eloquenti will do well to get anywhere near the pack. He'll need a load of right hand English. And that ball might still go in. In fact, it may well still have the leg, so that's still a legal shot. It went into the pocket that he was intending it to go into. Although he thinks he might have to miscall. No, he's fine. Well, you're the only one here, Jose. And I've got nobody to translate for you. Goodness gracious me, where the hell did you turn up from, Sharky? You have not been around for a hell of a long time. And why aren't you signed up to the tournament? Long time no see. Good evening to Hair Pig. Good evening to Happy Dolo. And just while I remember, if you were on the stream last night, you may well remember me looking at the bracket and looking at how things were going to pan out, because last night was the deadline for the first round matches, and the only match that was outstanding that hadn't had it hadn't had a time set for it, was a match between Potman and Vinces. The deadline was 9 p.m. last night, GMT. So 9 p.m. came and went, and as a result, the tournament forfeits a player. Now, having spoke to Vinces earlier on in the day, he gave me the impression, although he didn't say it, that there was correspondence between him and Potman, i.e. when Vinces said to me that he hadn't received anything from Potman, I assumed and I made the assumption that Vinces had been sending a proposal to Potman. Well, subsequently, and in order to clear up my misunderstanding, I spoke to Vinces this morning, or earlier on this afternoon, I can't remember what time, and it's become apparent that Vinces had no correspondence sent to Potman. Now, the one thing to say is that some players might not understand how this tournament system works as far as proposals go, but my understanding is, that's going to scratch, my understanding is that if you send a proposal to an opponent and they don't reply or obviously confirm anything, if they don't have any communication with you and respond to the proposal, and then the match time expires, then the active player, the player that has been sending the proposals, is the one that will automatically be forwarded. Now, I can be corrected on that by Steve, but I believe I'm right in saying that. And so it's came about that Potman, who hasn't been around for a good few days, never sent any proposal, and Vinces had just been sitting there waiting on a proposal, and it never happened. So the outcome of it all is that the tournament automatically forfeits one of the players and sends the other to the one-loss side. And Vinces is now in the one-loss side. Potman has been advanced to play Bedhead in round 2. Having also spoke to Vinces, he said that, and I believe that Vinces was one of these players who decided to sign up to the tournament because he found out the pockets had been changed to narrow. So, again, my interpretation was that the tournament was set up in preference to the way Vinces preferred it. And that's why he signed up. But he also mentioned during the conversation earlier today that he doesn't think he thinks he'd be struggling to get times to play matches. So in the end, he signed up with what seems to be not the best intentions of going through with it all, because the evidence of that is the fact that he never made any effort himself to arrange a match with Potman. So he's in the one-loss side, and it may well be unlikely that he's going to play at all in the tournament. So he joins the rest of those that, along with Potman, if he doesn't show for his one-loss for his match with Bedhead, he joins with the rest of the players who either withdrew or forfeited so far in the tournament. Meanwhile, Eloquente on 73. Now, you know what I talk about in this tournament. It's about doing things the right way. Well, with the short time that we've got before this other match starts, we're hoping to see some evidence of that. We know where the problem lies, that 7 and 5 ball. That 7 ball's a bit tight to be trying to pot it and trying to get good on it. You could certainly pot it from there. He's tried to get a nudge and he's missed it. He might be able to pot it now. Although, if he does, he'll brush the 5 ball and he might only have a shot in the 9. Well, that's the question. That's why I ended up scratching my head, and that's why, if you know how the tournament system works, that you make sure you put a proposal in if your intention is that you do want to play anyway. So as long as you get a proposal sent, then you're good to go. You know, and that allows you to relax in the knowledge that if your opponent does nothing, you're automatically going to go through. Sharky, the news on this Twitch thing, it sounds like a great idea, Twitch. It's so easy to become an affiliate, and I did, as some of these guys here will confirm. I did that earlier, sort of, I don't know whether it was the middle of last year, or I can't remember what time it was, or what time of the month, the year it was, but a few months ago, I took up the affiliate program with Twitch, having not read properly and understanding the proper small print in it, but then having watched a video on YouTube with a guy who explains it properly, rather than you having to read small print, he explained it all properly. And the fact is that if you are an affiliate with Twitch, anything that you stream has to be exclusive to Twitch. You cannot multi-stream like I do at the moment, presently, with Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and also the Russian Facebook, VK. So to cut a long story short, I pulled the plug on it because it was a waste of time. Well, Sharky, you must have been very, very busy. Good evening to Cobra, because it's got to be 2 years or more since I've seen you here. At least that. And people have died since you were last here, Sharky. That's how long it is. People have gone to the virtual pool hall in the sky. Yeah, so to me that rule, that agreement with Twitch, I didn't like. So plus the fact, for all I do and the amount of viewers I get, it isn't really any great benefit. It was never going to be. It would take me years before I would get the first payment from Twitch. You know, if I was really into these shooter games and that something battlegrounds and all of that stuff, you know, I know, and maybe I was a lot more engaging and upbeat like a lot of these guys are, then I might get more viewers doing that. But that has no interest in me at all. I've got no interest in it. Right. Well, Eloquente seems to be pulling away. He generally seems to be that he's going to maybe score more than what Ice Age is doing, unless Ice Age changes the way he goes about things. Now, Ice Age, as far as I'm concerned, you have to call banks. I'm not getting involved. I mean, he could have just played a. He could have been intending a safety there, and they actually got the bank, and then, you know, nothing said about it. But, you know, strictly speaking, that should have been a called bank. I don't care whether you say, oh, it was obvious. It wasn't obvious. Was he playing a safety and banking the ball up the table, or was he playing a bank? You know, I'm not being pernickety. I'm just going by the general etiquette of the game. So this is, Well, I never even got a chance to look at it to see whether it was dead set or not, but Eloquenti's in a bit of a hurry. Again, with no shot clock, you have that time to actually get yourself set for shots. I think this is very much going to be one of these games where these guys see a ball and they just want to pot it. Whether they're investing a great deal of thought in what they're doing, I tend to think perhaps not, but well, we've only got another 4 or 5 minutes to make a better judgment on that. And again, we have the 9 ball that's ideal for nudging those 2 balls out the way. They're not set as a combo, so something has to be disturbed there. So the 9 ball has been moved. That opens up the 12 and the 1, but we have no break ball in the sort of regular position that you'd maybe want to play it. So it's going to have to be something behind the pack. And again, running into balls, you know, that there's a part in the discipline that's missing here, that's very apparent, and that is you know, do things right and don't run that cue ball unless you need to, and don't hit balls unless you need to. Well, I mean, this tournament, Sharky, has in fact, you weren't even around for last year's Straight Pool World Championship, or rather the 2020 World Championship, the Straight Pool, which started in November in 2020 and it ran into 2021. Steve set it up and he had it on normal pockets, which was the agreed setting for Straight Pool, as it would be in real life for those guys trying to make the high run. And so the tournament went ahead in November 2020, and we had, you know, we didn't have a bad load of high runs, but we had 3-4 3-figure breaks in the tournament, the highest run being 179 from semi-pro. And so far in this tournament, the agreed settings were the same, and everybody signed up, and then Steve went and changed the pockets and put them to narrow. So there's a few players pulled the plug in the tournament because of it. I certainly didn't like that idea, and made it known to Steve, but he wasn't going to back down. He wasn't going to do what he should have done. But again, I only gave my opinion. I didn't give the majority opinion, because I don't think enough players contacted him to tell him, like I advised them to do. If you're not happy with the way the settings are, tell them. And them that weren't, before the tournament started, they decided to bail out and withdraw. Yeah, the double bank is no, you know, that's never a pretty much guaranteed certainty now. You know, you've got to get that line on the initial bank because when it hits that second rail, it's going to straighten up. It's not going to follow the same trajectory that you were guaranteed previously. Well, we have got about maybe 3 minutes to go. And Ice Age's run ends in 10, and he's still 37 behind. And it's only a race to 150, so Eloquenti should be in 3 figures. And doesn't have a brake ball. Well, he should be nudging that 9 and taking a risk. He skims one of these balls if he can get there, but I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking there, because he had to play a shot where he was leaving himself good in the 9 to just try and nudge something, but he just let the ball run. And this is what I talk about, players not really thinking about what they're doing. Well, the 10 ball is the ideal brake ball where it's sitting if you got good on it, but he's going to have to bank the 9 and hope that he gets some sort of shot in the 10 where he can get into the pack. Well, the double banks, you know, if you bank a ball, there's your cue ball there. If you bank a ball, I'll get my line working. Hang on a minute. That's no good. Wait till I find my line. If you bank a ball that's down here and you bank it up there and it hits that point there, it's pretty much coming back that way, like that. It doesn't take the line that it used to do, which was like that. That's gone. Well, Eloquenti's got to 3 figures. Ice Age is banging at balls and missing simple shots. So Eloquenti's just going to keep pulling away. So we'll leave them to it. We'll check the lobby. Sergeresh is in a room, and I think Woody's finally got into a room. Maybe for. Oh no, he's not. He's just in the chat. The ones that are in the room are there. That's what it is. They're waiting in the room going up. So we'll join that one and we'll get in straight away. The other news is that Stubb has arranged, or I should say probably LS3's arranged a match with Stubb. I think that's Tuesday night. I think it is. Let me have a quick look. What's today's date again? I said it was the 6th, didn't I? Yes. So Monday's the 7th, Tuesday's the 8th. And it's going to be 8 o'clock GMT. That would be 3 o'clock Eastern Time, midday Pacific Time. So that's a round 2 match that is arranged. And off we go. So Sergeresh clearly won the lag and put Woody into break. And an easy starter for Sergeresh to get a couple of points on the board. Good evening to Slim. Well, I think what LS, I mean, the best advice I could give to LS3 is take whatever you can get and then run, and lock Stubb up, leave him nothing and frustrate him, because that way he's going to take more risks. And if you can just keep taking a bunch of balls and then running and hiding, and the longer you do that, And the more you frustrate him, the more he'll take risks. That's my advice to her. Whether she takes it or not, that's a different matter. But if she wants to make it a shooting match, she won't win. Got to use the head. That's exactly what to do, I'm telling you. You don't take any risks when you don't need to. You take the points that are there. And if you think the shot's a bit too risky and you're thinking about the value in taking the shot, then lock him up, give him nothing. Believe me, if that happens for 30, 40 minutes, he's going to start taking risks. You'll annoy him, you'll get inside his head, you'll get frustrated. But if you just keep taking on shots you really shouldn't be and giving him 3 points, then you're asking for trouble. I've always gone on the principles that I don't care how good the player is and how much they're expected to win, you've got to try and make it as difficult for them as you can. And you won't do that by capitulating and trying to beat them at their own game. What you do is you start using your head and you use the rules of the game. Remember what I said in the other streams, it's far better in straight pool to sacrifice a point by not hitting a rail if you're going to leave them locked up with no shot. It's much easier doing that than it is to lose 40 odd points by taking on something stupid and just giving them a free go. And if only people just use their heads when they're playing games, whether it be straight pool, it doesn't matter. It's the amount of people that don't think. The simple process of thinking, listening to the voice in your head and say, right, well, if I do this, can I get that cue ball to there? What's the risk and what's the value in taking it? I mean, that's what all the better players do. They all think about what they're doing. And the other big advice is, don't do what Woody just did. Not take your time and set yourself up and get yourself in a hurry when there's no shot clock. And keep checking the pack if you're playing safeties off the pack. Get length on your safety shots. It's far more difficult playing a safety when you're nailed to the bottom rail in the kitchen. Good evening to Semi-Pro. So, we're at the critical point in the rack and we've a problem. And the problem is that Woody's going to have to go up table behind one of these balls. Ideally, it would probably be the 4 ball, but he has to have an angle where he can get out and get good in the 15. Sergeresh, sorry, but there's people far too much in a hurry here in this game straight away, minutes into it, and I'm not seeing anything that I like. So the prospects of seeing something worth watching at the moment are fairly slim. Well, this is going to push the 15 ball out of the break shot position. I just wonder why players are in so much of a hurry to play a shot and they've not really went through what they're going to do here. 13 balls, nothing as a break shot, so you start banging at it and trying to do something spectacular. There's easier ways to do things. Well, clearly there was an issue with the calculations for how a ball reacts when it hits a rail. I don't think that's anything to do with rail grab or anything like that. That's more to do with the code, the way the game's coded. Only Steve could answer that, but whether he would answer you with a straight enough, simple description of it rather than a whole bunch of gobbledygook, that's a different thing altogether. Well, as long as you banked the ball at the right pace, and you got, if you didn't get the line dead on and you hit the short rail, if you had it at the right pace, you were pretty much guaranteed you would get the second bank. So you were always in the habit of giving it the opportunity to get that second bank. Well, I just hope that one of these players, in fact, not one of them, I hope that both of them, it depends how long it might take, it might never happen, but I hope both of them finally get the message that you have to settle down and start doing some work here, even this early on, because as I said, it's not taking a good line at the moment. Now, as you're looking at a combo, that looks dead set from here. That's going in every day. 8 ball, 10 ball, 5 ball, 3 ball combo. And it doesn't need to be hit hard. I think Woody's fallen asleep looking at this. Well, 6 ball goes in as well. Now, balls have moved around. The 8 ball looks the best bet. Now, for the 8 ball to be the break ball, then you stay away from it. So that's the ball to work around the 8 ball. But also, what's the second last ball going to be to get good in that 8 ball? Well, there are 3 of them there at the moment. The 14, the 12 and the 10 are all good balls to get good on the 8. The reason I say that is because you don't have to let the cue ball travel a great deal to get a line on that 8 ball. Even that shot there was not great because he's having to take a 10 ball that's bringing him back behind the 8, or he's having to go up table. And now, unless he just comes straight back, yeah, again, it's going to have to go 2 rails behind the 8 and out into the table. And this is where this cue ball needs to be somewhere. This is the sort of line he wants, like that line, anywhere on that line with the cue ball, and it'll be pretty good. The further he goes to the right, the straighter the ball gets. And the less of a hit he'll get in the pack. I think he's going to clip the top, certainly. And it's going to scratch. And again, had he got a better line on that cue ball there, he wouldn't have skimmed off the top of the pack and he wouldn't have scratched like that. So, Woody, with a slender lead of 10 points, And Sergeresh with no shot. Now he's got no shot, so he should be running for cover. But immediately he's looking at a cross bank. And these balls aren't sitting great, so it's unlikely he would lose a lot of points from it. But it's, again, the strategy's all wrong. This notion just to try and stay at the table is, in my opinion, not the right way thing to do things. Got to keep it tight. See, the table's ugly anyway, so it's unlikely Woody was ever going to score a great deal from his opportunity here. Now that Moz has arrived, I need to do a little bit of an apology to Moz with witnesses. When I was in the stream the other night, doing my live stream, I clicked a link in the lobby that Moz posted for his stream. So I brought it up on the internal browser and I was listening to it, and my first complaint was the volume level. So my apology to Moz is, it's a slight apology. It's not a full apology. I hasten to add it's a slight apology. I was not happy with the level of volume that I was hearing on his channel. But what I forgot to do was, what I forgot was that I was on the internal browser and I hadn't actually clicked on the stream to adjust the volume on the stream. So I went on to Moz's channel earlier today and looked at the stream and put the slider up on the volume, and I noticed that the volume was better, but it could have done with it could do with a bit more of a tweak on your own mic volume. Your mic volume is not as high as it possibly should be for the stream, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So that's as much as an apology you're going to get from me. Sergeresh on 6 points, still trailing by 3. He has a very good break ball. I think. Aye, it'll do, that 12 ball. And now he's away looking at a bank again. What's happening with these two balls here? Why is he not potting the 13? The 13 goes every day of the week. Why is he doing this? Now, I mean, is Sergeresh actually looking at what he's doing here and looking at the lay of the table? The 13 ball went. He didn't have to try and play a bank. Well, I don't know what's going on. I mean, there's the example of what I'm talking about. Sergeresh had a chance to get back on even terms with Woody, and he's just sold out half a dozen balls in this rack and however many in the next rack, with a 12 ball sitting there as a break shot. Once again, there's a lot of travelling to do with this cue ball. This 11 ball's pretty much dead straight, and now he's wrecked his break ball. And now you see just how difficult it is. The biggest difficulty in every game you're ever going to play in billiards or pool is how you move the cue ball. That's the biggest difficulty. If you can't move the cue ball to a spot, you're going to end up with stuff like this. in these narrow pockets, we've seen it 100 times and over. You know, you're not going to be stunning balls into pockets here and hitting them offline and they're going in. It ain't happening, no matter what Steve says. He says the pockets are easier. Well, I don't believe so. I don't even know if we've had a double figure run. There's not enough points in the scoreboard for anybody to have had a double figure run, is there? 29-13. See, this is what frustrates me watching guys playing, where they've got no structure. There's no, well, let me put it a better way. Let me be a bit more diplomatic. There is no sort of visible structure to how they're going about things, if you know what I mean. You know, there's a sort of haphazard pot a ball and hope you get a next ball type of thing. You know, the ones that are out in the open here, but immediately if he'd gone higher on the 3 ball, you know, a simple shot like that, if he'd gone higher on the 3 ball, he could have smacked all those balls open. But he's not thought about that at all, or he's left it too short. You know, things like that. He finishes here on the 3, pretty much straight, but if he finished there on the 3, he was in business. You know, the most obvious things is take that little bit of time just to see where you're going, know where the cue ball's going. It's like a broken record here. Now again, he's got a slight angle this time to do a nudge. And now we're out of line again. Well, I don't care what time I go to bed. I'm not. Did I tell you that I'm not working the rest of the week? I think I might have mentioned it. I'll mention it again. I don't go back until a week on Monday. There you go. I don't know whether any of you guys know. Do you guys know who Sharky 9 is? Well, got good news and bad news. The good news is he's a very good virtual pool player. The bad news is he's German. And he's suddenly turned up out the woodwork today. Larry's never heard of him. You know, there's a guy that disappears for 3. He's probably been in prison. And he's not telling us, but he's turned up out of the blue tonight. Like a long lost son. But he is, I believe, a former world champion, as he'll no doubt remind us. Back in the virtual pool 3 days. And do you want me to break the bad news, Larry, to Sharky? Larry got to another big tournament final and lost it again. There you go. This this last straight pool championship I was talking about in 2020-21, Larry got to the final, was looking good, and then bottled it with that trackball mouse. Right, now, well, that's a good safety by Sergeresh. It's just a pity he's still to play. And now Woody should be, again, see the ball to skim would be the 10 ball, because it's got a little distance to go to get to the 13, and you can just get down the table as close to that rail as you can. Now that makes it 10 times more difficult for Sergeresh. This is what I keep talking about. I keep going on and on and on and on about it. You see, he's nudged the ball out, but he's hit it at the right weight. Now, does that 15 go? No, it doesn't. So now it's more difficult for Woody to get it safe and protect that 2 ball and the cue ball. Don't forget, Semi, Larry's high run ended in disaster in that tournament as well. You know, keep reminding him to get a proper mouse. But that, again, was when the pockets were set the way Steve said they should have been set, and blah, 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 blah. Then he went back and he's worked, and we've ended up with this bit of a debacle. But we have got a high run. The high run by Mr. Fox. The high run of 87. And the next nearest one is Bedheads of 56. Now, we've got balls in the open, and we have a ball to work around. The candidate would be the 13 ball. So what you do is try, can you hold that, can you hold off, now I think there's maybe a bit more angle on that 15, to try and maybe go onto the 7 in such a way you could maybe draw back into those balls. Anyway, we're going a different direction, and he hasn't got into the cue ball there. Well, the luck with that shot is he didn't touch the 13, and he's actually given himself a second choice for a break shot. I mean, the 7 is just as good. I think they're pretty much in a parallel line, but got to be a bit more careful and avoiding any accidental nudging of balls that don't need to be nudged. So this has got, again, the cue ball control is all over the place here. That needs a stun draw, and we're going for big draws, and it's going to be the haphazard approach, I'm afraid. The let's get lucky to get on that next break ball and hopefully keep it going approach, and that doesn't win you anything. Steve won't be in the room long, I can assure you. He'll be long gone in 5 minutes. So there's 2 break balls here, and the obvious one we want rid of is the 8. Or as it turns out, now the 7, and a little roll through to get rid of the 8. The problem now is, again, this needs good cue ball control to get the line on this 13. So it's around behind the 13 or forward, but if he goes forward he could end up 2 straight going that way. That's a better shot. He's got the line. The run is only 13. But he's 5 in front and needs a break shot here. And there we go with the big stun again, and the big hit on the jaw, and it doesn't go in. Oh, for keeping the pockets the same size as should have been. They should have been normal. So straight away we have a problem, but it's a problem that can be dealt with simply by getting rid of the 13, because it's a blocker. It's blocking the 14, and it's blocking the 1, and the 1's blocking the 4 and the 15. So that is also the problem, is the target ball being the 50, the one ball to get rid of. It's difficult to get on. But that's, you know, one way or another, he should be trying to get there to get rid of it. Because that's going to scupper the... He might be still trying to break open this 15 and 4 ball, and he doesn't need to. But he might end up having to because he can't get rid of the 1. They don't need touching at all because they're both clean and they'll both go. But now we've also got the other dilemma of getting good on the break shot. And if it's any of those two, it's got to be... Well, that gets rid of one of them. It could end up being a ball behind the pack, but he's going to get rid of one of them, and he's still not found a way onto the 1 ball. So the candidate's the 11 ball, and now he can go on the 1. But again, he took the option to try and break them, and he's achieved that. And now he's going to get rid of his best looking break ball that was there. It's gone. And now the goal may well have been to try and get that cue ball into the pack so he could get ball in hand in the 15, but I honestly haven't a clue what these guys are thinking about. I'm totally at a loss. Because either I'm not on their wavelength, or they definitely are doing things the wrong way around. So one of us is wrong, and Steve's left the building. I'm doing my best to try and work out what way they're trying to go about it, and nothing seems to be panning out, none whatsoever. So I think, in my estimations, they ain't going about it the right way at all. Or let's just put it again diplomatically, a better way of doing it. So the score's 45 to Woody. Again, this looks a better way. That's the best shot of the night right there. I mean, believe it or not, that is the best shot of the night. Because that's the length you want on a safety and a straight pull in VP4. And that's, what, a foot short? But the more you practice them, the better you get for the weight of shot. But when you start having to do those from that distance, that's when you have to be careful. So now it's a quick study of the pack. Now, that 11 and 5, well, that's now changed. Well, as I said, Slim, I'm totally bewildered and befuddled as to where they're going, because the weight of shot isn't there, the control isn't there, and when that happens, everything ends up all over the place. There's a lot of needless power being used, and not enough time studying the situation. Now that 3 ball is no good because he's nailed to the rail. He needs a better angle like that, and he wants to get right into that gap with the 9 and 4 if he can. And that's spread them all over the shop. And now, once you've done that, this is where you stop and you have a look, because these balls are split beautifully. We've got a blocking ball, the 4 ball. See, he's already away hitting balls. I'd still be studying the table to know where I'm going. I'd still be having a look to see, right, I'm going there, I'm going there. And there's the cue ball coming back into no man's land. You know, I don't even believe for 1 second that he really wanted to be there. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you look at when those balls get broken open, I'd be looking at that table for a minute just to say, right, well, this is my first ball. I know where I'm going next. You know, and that way you've got the roadmap in your head as to what you're intended to do. And obviously the other thing you have to say is, right, what one am I avoiding? I'm not going near the 12 ball. That's my break ball, so that's where I'm working. And I'm working around that at all costs. And do I have a bailout if there's a problem? You know, all of those sort of things. It's what all the... And again, there's the 12 ball gone. You know, I mean, that's just no use. Okay, you can still work with a break ball, but not when there's one already there. And things are just going from bad to worse here. Because he's got no shot other than the 12 up the table. And if this continues the way it's going, I wouldn't advise anyone to watch this rerun. There's and the thing is, both of these players are far better than the stuff that they've dished up right now, because they're not thinking a great deal about what they're doing. That's the main failing here. They're not thinking about what to avoid. And if you just apply those simple rules to your game, you're a far better player if you do. It's so obvious, it's staring you in the face, but there's some people are blind to that fact. But it is going to be the way I predicted for the majority of these matches early on in this tournament. It's going to go like this. It's going to go backward and forward. You take half a dozen balls, I take half a dozen balls. You get one, I get 10 to take the lead and build up a little lead. I do that and scratch and give you another go. You know, it's going to be like that. Welcome to all the latecomers. You won't be here long, I'll tell you that. So there's 6 points between the players. Sergeresh is looking for a safety. Well, if he stays up the top and goes behind there, he's going to end up just giving the 2 or the 9 or the 1, whatever it is. It's not really... I mean, he could punch the 6 into the 5 if he can see it, and then just back to the pack and hope he gets lucky as far as that goes. Yeah, I think the shot I would have played there, where the cue ball was, I think I would have stunned, drawn off the 6 and 5 and just tried to punch them out of the way. You probably still leave a shot on, but you probably nail the cue ball into the pack and leave it awkward. Well, you always, snooker's a game early on where you're giving yourself options all the time. Anybody that's played snooker, it's all about getting the cue ball in a spot where you have a choice. The real pros will get the cue ball on the spot, 9 times out of 10 every time. But when there's a dodgy shot, they'll get it to an area where they'll have an alternative. And straight pool, for the most part, can be a bit like that until you get to that critical point in every rack. But if your build-up process is good, then you won't, you'll be nudging a ball maybe into a more favourable position. But what you're not doing is nudging balls when you don't need to. And there's far too much of that goes on. I keep saying, I mean, it frustrates me that players don't adapt themselves and approach this game properly. But when you do, it's funny how you suddenly start putting more balls together. You know, it's like trying to teach your granny to suck eggs, explaining to people how you should approach every game you play by doing things that will give you every opportunity to continue doing what you're doing. But better control of the cue ball is paramount. Well, there's the result came through on the one-loss side. Eloquenti kept his lead and won by 40 points in the end, and that was pretty much the pattern to that match that this match has taken, bits and pieces. There's only 1 point in it. We're all square now, so we've got a problem on the table to be dealt with, and an easy option to get and deal with one of those balls without running into them. You can just drop behind. You can go forward and drop behind and take one of them up the table. And we've got a 14 ball that's a break ball. We've got the 12 ball that could be the break ball. We've got a bailout ball up the table. And a ball that would be also good to get on the 14. So if you're not going from the 4 ball up the table, he's now got to play a very good shot to hold a line. Well, I would leave that 8 ball there and use it as a break ball. It gives you more options, the fact that it's in the corner there like that, because you can use the rail to chip the 8 in and come around and hit the pack. I've never spoken to Woody. I've never spoken to him at all. Other than that he deserved a proper wind-up for what he was doing, and he got wound up properly. I mean, I'm not going to go over the same ground that we covered, but to cut a long story short, if for some reason you can't access your account because you've forgotten your password or whatever, then you follow the rules that you do. You click forget password and you set up another one. You don't go creating a new account and doing what he did, and then signing up for a tourney in one profile and playing in the second one. I mean, that's just daft. And then we got we got the reasons for doing it and all of that crap, and they're genuine reasons. I don't doubt that they're genuine reasons, but that's what puzzled me looking at the tournament. I wonder. I think his video is still on his channel, his explanation video. But no, I've never spoken to Woody. But as I say, he got a proper winding up because of it, and deserved it. So we're all square again. So straight away, there's a problem cluster right in the middle of the table. And there was an opportunity right there to get on the 10 ball to get the hit. Probably better from the other side, maybe, to do that, because there's not many other opportunities to get into that bunch. But there's another opportunity now to drop down onto the 10. I think that's not really good, that angle. That's where you have to start tweaking the cue ball to do too much to get there. Now that's better. It's gone a wee bit lower than where you want to be, but that's getting to the spot that gives you a chance. Now, well, that would have been handy if we could have seen the 7 there. It's not a real problem yet, but we've now got something to work with. We've got a 12 ball or a 3 ball that would be a break ball. 5 balls in the pack, that's no good. 13 can go, 7 can go, but the 3 and 12 are the perfect candidates probably. 13 would do as well, but you've obviously got to get rid of something, so it might as well go. Well, it's not going to be the 3, but the 2 good ones are still nearer the pack. And now he's struggling to get to this 7, but he can get it off the 13. That's what he wants to do. He's taking the 12 as well. Now he has to be taking this 7 ball where he's not going to run into the 13 if that's what he's going to do. He's going forward with a bit of right English to come off the railing out. And he's got loads of room to get round behind the 13. I've got VP4's got a Discord server. I'm sorry, Sharky, I'm too busy looking at the table. You might have typed that a few minutes ago. I've got a VP4 commentary booth, which I set up myself. VP4 has its own server, and he's run into the 13. He's now going to have to go rail and into the pack with a lot of power. Yeah, I've got my own commentary booth, and there's also the VP4 Discord channel that's there. The reason I created my own commentary booth is that I didn't want somebody to be setting something for me. I wanted to set something for myself, because I'm not a mod or anything like that on VP4 Discord, and neither do I want to be. So I just set my own little channel. And Steve's been in, and Hairpig's been in when we've been doing some matches as well, and Semi-Pro was in. But yeah, if you're going on to Discord, I'm sure somebody can send you an invite from the VP4 channel. And Tornado Tam's seen enough, he's came and gone. Well, this is the shot to break the bunch. And it doesn't need a lot of power because the trajectory is heading towards the pack of balls. But there's a 10-point gap that Woody has to get rid of here. And it's going to be the combo. Now, the other problem is those 3 balls there and the cluster of 2 that's there with the 15. The 15 can be potted, but again, only if you get rid of other balls to get to the 15. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the majority of people. There's a couple of people who are talking about the next tournament should be the snooker one. There hasn't been a black ball one, and there hasn't been a cowboy one since its last championship. So there are ideas in the pot. Yes, as far as I know, he has. Yes, yes. I think that other account has been shut down. And I think that was the last time I spoke to Mr. Fox, because he got on the bandwagon that time, defending Woody. He had a good rant about it. Well, I don't think there's many matches in this tournament deserve double commentary. In fact, there's not many deserve any commentary. Let's be honest, not so far. And this is certainly, this is not taking on any glorious ending, I don't think. It's just the thought of another 100 and odd balls to go before the match is over. He used both accounts in December. What, this year? Is that what you're saying, Napnica? Don't start that again, for God's sake. But, yeah, you're saying December 2021, like 2 months ago. Aye, this is February, isn't it? Aye, December 2021, that was last year, at the end of the year. And, you know, you know what the rules say. You know, that's what the terms and conditions say. But as long as you're paying for two accounts, Steve won't be bothered. That's the bottom line. Well, I thought that was dealt with in a proper fashion, but clearly from what you're saying, it hasn't been. But, you know, as I say, if as long as the money comes into sergeresh, you can have as many accounts as you want, I think, as long as they're bought and paid for. Increasing the straight pool matches, what does that mean? No. I think LS3 doesn't need commentary at the moment. What she needs is to focus on the job in hand. Don't be distracting LS3 before her match. She needs to focus on how to deal with Stubb. I've given her advice how to deal with Stubb. Whether she takes it's up to her. But my advice is pretty good advice. And if you stick to that plan and don't do numpty stuff, you will frustrate him. And LS3 is well capable of scoring as many points as Stubb if she does it the right way. I think I'm going to have to go and put the heating off. It's a bloody cold wind outside, but I'm not going outside, but I'm actually beginning to boil in here at the moment. I think that's what I'll end up doing. So, we've still got a 10-point gap. But Woody has a good opportunity to stretch it here. And even though there aren't big contributions, it still puts pressure on sergeresh to start dishing up something here when he gets a chance. Right, what are we talking about here? I'm missing what's going on in the chat. I was going to go Mal style and upload some of me playing offline. Was never happy with it. Cobra says straight pool number. That's got me lost, so I don't know what's happening there. Slim says 1 to 800 runouts. LS3 says get it off you. Might as well set fire to a few £20 notes of an evening cheaper. This conversation's going nowhere. Who the hell's talking to who here? I can't follow it at all. Increasing. Oh, right, I've got you now, Semi-Pro. Tell him he needs to increase it to 750. I told him that. 500 is no good. You want to have a target. And the target is to beat Mr. Jason Shaw, brackets, who happens to be a Scotsman, that now has a new straight pool world record. Yeah, the high point goal, he sets it to 750 or nothing at all. That's my response to that. What's the point in setting it to 500 and somebody gets really lucky and gets to 499 and then they can't get to 750? Yep, set it to 750. That means that VP4's out of date in terms of offering a challenge to players to try and get a high run. No, you're right enough, Larry. Can't get to the 200 mark, but it's always a way to help players. Well, certainly not in the narrow pockets. That is. Well, you could have went and saw it here, Pig. Yeah, Shaw's got the new straight pool world record, Sharky. Does that news not travel to where you stay? He's got 714, which beat the record by almost 100 by Schmidt. Right, with all this excitement going on, I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to put the heating off. I'm melting here. Hang on. Right. Do you know something here, Pig? That's what the guys were talking about on a blog on YouTube. I think it was the day after Jason Shaw got the high run. The guys were talking and saying, well, nobody's ever seen the Schmidt high run. That's never been posted anywhere. I've not heard of it. I've not seen it. So, I mean, there is a video on YouTube where a guy's talking over the video and it shows you Jason Shaw getting to the record, the first record of 626. It's on YouTube. You only see a few balls getting potted, but you see the record-breaking ball before he then continues on to 714. That's all you'll see on YouTube. So now that I'm back, have I missed anything? Well, we are 57 minutes into the game. And it's just backward and forward. You know something? I'd be fascinated to watch Jason Shaw running a number of those racks to see how he was going about it, to see how what his shape was like in terms of that break shot every time. And I think everybody else in here would do the same thing, just to see how he went about it. You want to see how he's doing these things. I mean, it's incredible that he did that for 714 balls and then scratched in that 715th one. That's the amazing thing about it. So that shows you how good he moved that cue ball. You can't get to anywhere near 714 as a pro on that type of table setup if you do not have that cue ball nailed every time for such a long time. The amount of concentration involved, the distractions that you've got going on around you, all of that crap. I just think that's incredible. And he's a Scotsman, did I mention that? What do you call that little, what's his name? I call him Shrek. What's his name? You know who I'm talking about. What about him trying to get anywhere near that? He'd be jumping up and down on the table and doing laps around the arena. I'm trying to. I can't remember his name. Darren Appleton. I call him Shrek. He's as ugly as Shrek. You got to admit that. Well, we have a break ball, and we're going for the big distance again, which is never the best way to do it. You want to be probably at maximum 2 feet away from that one ball to be playing this confidently, because that'll happen. So it'll be a missed call because a corner ball, I think it was, in the other pocket. Yep. That's a corner ball, semi-pro. Are you watching? That 12 ball that went in the left-hand corner pocket, that's a corner ball. So, Woody has another opportunity, another good opportunity to get at least 10 balls here. Most of the tournament matches I've seen in straight pool tourneys in the States, and I've watched a few of them, they've been to 125 or 150, not more than that in an actual tournament when it's a straight pool tournament. Well, the 8 ball is too straight to do any of those 2 balls that are locked together at the head of the pack. The 6 ball is not bad, although he hasn't stunned that hard enough. He's not got a shot. He might be able to try and, well, I think that might be tight to try and cheat the pocket, but I think that's the first safety shot I've seen in the whole match. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a safety there. But even so, he didn't get tight to the 7, he still left a cut on. Snooker players aren't built to play 9 ball. They're not. Their whole it's so ingrained in them, the way that they play in snooker, that they're not designed to play 9 ball. They don't have the break shot, which is the most important thing in 9 ball. They don't have that power. And Cobra's seen enough. Thanks for lasting this long, Cobra. Take care. You can always watch the rest of it on my YouTube channel tomorrow. Well, the bank was called. 12 ball goes up the table. I keep calling it the 10 ball. 12 ball goes up the table. There is an angle, but he's got to really force this. And didn't get the line. The line wasn't great. But again, the little skim and the run for cover. And the one thing you can get by doing this is practicing your way to shot to get to that short rail. And that's an awful shot. Well, there's the worst shot of the night as a safety. You've just seen it there. Yeah, that was a bit of a publicity stunt, putting Judd in the tournament. I mean, he did not bad. He won a couple of matches, didn't he? But when he came up against the class player, he got drilled. That was always going to be happening. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean the guys that he was playing, you know, they weren't class players that he was playing up until he bumped into Shaw. And it's likewise for any of those pool players to come over to snooker and be good at snooker. The likelihood of that happening is fairly slim as well. I remember, who was it I was arguing with at one time about Alex Pagaline? It might have been John Slingblade. I can't remember who it was, and he was talking about Alex Pagaline being in a snooker tournament and scoring a century break and whatever. I said, look, the simple ability to be able to pot a ball and move a ball is fine, especially with 15 reds in the tables. But in terms of being a world-class snooker player, he's never ever going to be anywhere near that. You know, there's plenty of professionals. There are 128 professionals in the game, and all of them can make centuries. But there's only a select few that actually makes, you know, centuries on a regular basis in the professional tournament, the professional game at the moment. Out of those 128, the vast majority of those professionals during the season are lucky if they make more than one century break, couple of century breaks a season. So the standard in world professional snooker is very good at the highest level, but below that highest level, you know, is tit for tat. But Mark Selby was he not an 8-ball, a pool, what do you call it, a pub table champion? I think Mark Selby. Well, we're back all square again, and we've got a break ball, and this time Sergeresh has got to the spot where you want to be. It could have done a wee bit more angle, but again, don't go forward. He hit. He's just killed it stone dead. He didn't come away from the pack. He's got an easy combo, I think. Yeah, that's fine. That 12 ball will get off the jaw, no problem. And I think there's a little gap between the 2 and the 12. I don't know why he's looking at the 4. I mean, he's making life difficult for himself here. You know, it's a foreign thing for a snooker player to smack a ball in the break. You know, back in the days in the early Mosconi Cup when they had Jimmy White and Steve Davis and Alec Higgins in the tournament, you know, there's none of them had a break shot of any description. But in fact, I don't think they were even playing with a break cue. That was in the very early days of the Mosconi Cup. Well, the combo's still sitting there. He can take the 13 now and knock the 2 ball away, though he doesn't need to. But getting rid of the 12 will open up the 14 if he ends up round that side. You see, immediately there's a blocking ball and you're on it, you want to get rid of it. It's still sitting there, and it means then he's having to do something to try and get into those balls there. He wants to get rid of that blocking ball and draw. He wants to draw off this as well if he can, or unless he's holding low for the 6. He's run into the 6 and now he's in nothing. Yeah, I can believe that, because I mean, Ron, you know, they're not going out and buy break cues and pool cues. Now, what ambitious adventure is he going on here? He's called the 9 ball. That 7 ball's going to hit the 9 way too thick. So that's never going to go in. That 9 ball's going around the angles and back up the table. But it's a run of 20 by Sergeresh. And it's a lead of 11. Yeah, that's where, I mean, Alison Fisher did the right thing because, you know, she was another lady that tried to be, you know, and that was back before the ladies were welcome on the men's tour in the World Professional Snooker. That was when it was still the WPBSA that was running the show. You know, if any woman player was good enough and she goes through the qualifying school, then, you know, she can get on the tour. That's the way it is now. It doesn't matter who you are. But Alison Fisher did the right thing. She was never going to make a living trying to be a professional snooker player over here. And she made the right move in terms of making, you know, earning a living. She did the right move. And certainly, you know, it was a lot easier for her to come down from a 12-foot table to the 9-foot table and spend a bit of time working on her game in pool. So, you know, that was the best thing she ever did. Dead straight in the 7 or a slight angle. Thought it was dead straight. That's better than nothing. But once again, it's Woody trying to get rid of the deficit. You know, the one thing about the women. See, this is the thing that puzzles me about women players. I mean, and it's always puzzled me this. That in most sporting events, things are set up slightly different for women. You know, in tennis they only play the best of 3 sets. In athletics they run 100 metres hurdles, they don't run 110. You know, all of those sort of things. And then the women's shot put is a lighter shot put. Obviously, they don't throw as heavy a shot put. You know, if you go through all the different sports, there's lots of different rules and regulations and different setups, especially for women in the sport. And that's fine. But when you look at snooker and pool, you know, what's to stop a woman from becoming a top-class professional snooker player? Absolutely nothing. So there's something wrong with what, you know, because it's the same 12-foot table for them as it is for the men. Yet why don't we have more females in amongst the professionals playing a high level of snooker? Nobody can answer that question because there's nothing to stop them. If they've got the ability, like the men, and they say they're just as good as the men, then why aren't they as good as the men at the snooker? What is it that's limiting their progress in the game? Why are they not coming through? I mean, there's a tournament last week, and that Yan Bingtao, who is an extremely high-class Chinese player, he got gubbed by one of his fellow Chinese players in the final. 9-0, he got beat. So the Chinese boys are getting their act together. Well, like I said, Albie, there, you know, there's if you play to a reasonable standard and you go through the qualifying school in the World Professional Snooker, and once you get through that qualifying school to earn your card, then you're one of the 128 professional players in the tournament circuit. And then the job you have in hand there is to win money, because the ranking points in World Snooker now go by the money you've earned. So if you earn £5,000 in one tournament, you get 5,000 ranking points. And if you don't have enough, or if you end up the bottom 2 or 3 in the rankings, however many it is, then you get booted out and you go back to the qualifying school. Why aren't these women coming through? Excuse me. You know, if we talk about sexual equality and physical differences with men and women, I mean, you could say women are generally shorter than men, you know. So the answer to that is they'll be using the rest a bit more than some. But there's quite a few short snooker players as well. Excuse me, hang on. Before I get into a coughing fit. But I say it's always a puzzle to me as to why they don't seem to be making any sort of impact. What's the name of that other female that's there at the moment? I can't remember her name, but that was the one that was she was hanging out with Mark Allen at one time, and then she does a bit of the punditry in the snooker. What's her name? You know, she's trying to qualify for tournaments all the time, but she's getting knocked out all the time. There's nothing that's a physical drawback for women to play snooker in comparison to men and play as good as men. I'm talking, you know, to get really, really good and start being more consistent and winning more matches. There has to be something at the cause of it. Right, Rhiannon Evans, yeah, that's the name. You know, women have got a better attention span than men. So focus and concentration should be to their advantage in snooker. But nobody's ever come up and gave me an answer that's acceptable as to why there's not a lot more women in the game and making a name for themselves. You'll get that. I mean, you'll get that. I can't remember her name, but you'll get that woman in the darts who's made a heck of a lot more headlines in the darts than Rhiannon Evans is ever going to do in snooker. And you're only, 7 feet away from the board in darts. It's not an emotional thing, Spectre, Don, when you're playing snooker. Men have a better killer instinct. Well, if you tell that to the Black Widow and Alison Fisher when they're playing pool, I mean they'd beat anybody to death if they had the chance. That's how you become a winner. Yeah, Fallon Sharrock. But it is a puzzle. You know, there's nothing to stop them being as good as men. But then again, and I bet you there's a whole multitude of women, Chinese women snooker players. I bet you there's busloads of them. You look at how snooker's taken off in China, they're bloody mad for it, so they are. Well, the way the world snooker's run now, there's every opportunity for male or female to play well at a consistent level and start making money. There's nothing to stop them. What's stopping them is sponsorship, because it costs money to get yourself shipped over to tournaments, pay for hotels, pay your travel expenses, all of that stuff. And then if you get to that tournament and you win nothing, because a lot of these tournaments where there's straight tournaments nowadays, these race to 4 in the world snooker, excuse me, where they've got 4 or 5 tables on at the one time, those first rounds in those tournaments, you get nothing if you lose. You get absolutely jack. So you're paid for your petrol, you're paid for your flight, you're paid transport, you're paid accommodation, and there goes a few £100, and you've earned nothing, but you're out of pocket by a few £100. That's what stops a lot of players. So sponsorship's a problem. Getting people to back you, because it's the only way that allows you the freedom to know that at least you're making something at the end of the day. And so it's so difficult to get yourself to these events and actually come out in a profit. That's right. That's exactly why Alison Fisher jumped ship. Well, are we now going down the road to say that women would be in snooker for a period of time, then the next thing you know they're dropping a kid. So then they have to get they have to be out the game for 2 years while they get this kid up and running. You look at a lot of professional players, quite a lot of professional players, their game goes downhill once they start getting involved with women or boys, depending on what they fancy. As soon as you start involving a wife and a family and other things you have to commit yourself to, the focus and dedication and concentration tends to go out the window a bit, as it's done with many players over the years. Where are we in this match? Because I'm busy reading the chat, not looking at what's happening. We're neck and neck again. That's going to scratch. The solution isn't put the big draw on that cue ball and make it look fancy to get any joy. Well, this match has now been on for an hour and 25 minutes, and we are still 70 points away from somebody winning this. While they're at this, let's have a look at the bracket, see where we stand here in this tournament. We've got second round matches now up for grabs. Moz against Shibo. Albinario against Acero. Acero, remember, is presumably still living in Japan somewhere. Why did that jump back out the bracket there? I did nothing. Was that because he was calling a shot there? Anyway, so we've got, as I say, Albinario against Acero. These matches, the deadline is the 15th of February, so that's still a way away for these to be played. we have Tommy through to round 3. He's now waiting on the winner of Sylvia against Larry, who I think play next Sunday or Saturday, I can't remember, but it's the 12th, whatever day that is. We have Popman through to play Bedhead after both players were forfeited. Popman's not been available. We don't know why. I haven't seen him for a good few days. He never responded to Vince's, but then again, Vince's never sent anything to him. So that's why one of them was automatically forfeited. And it looks as if Bedhead's going to get a bye to round 3. LS3 is due to be playing Stubb on Tuesday night, and the winner of that match will more likely play Bedhead. And then further down, we've got the match that's on at the moment with sergeresh and Woody, and then right at the bottom, the second round match between Brain Pullout and Hairpig. We had that one match earlier on the one lost side, which was the one between Ice Age and Eloquenti. Eloquenti going through there, so we're still in the early stages of this tournament. If we look at the stats, bear in mind the matches that have been played, this match that's been played now won't affect the stats, and I don't think it will in any other way. But let's have a quick look. If we look at the longest run, we can get this damn thing to work. You'll get Mr. Fox out in front on 87, Bedhead on 56, Tommy's high runner 48 keeps him in third, Snake Eyes on 38, Woody on 36, which he got in his first match, Hairpig in 34, Stubb in 32, Acero in 31, and Moz on 30. And then I think pretty much everybody below that is in the one loss side now. So there's a target to get to. That target of 87. Right, back to this mild form of torture. I think a lot of women who are interested in pool and snooker and stuff, certainly snooker, I think they themselves would admit that it would be too difficult. It'd be a huge commitment to dedicate themselves to do that. It's a huge investment, and that's what I'm going back to by saying, you know, unless you have some form of sponsorship, it's just you're just draining money every time. Well, there we go with the old heave-ho again. And the same result, nothing. Nothing but giving your opponent a free go. I'll tell you one of the reasons years ago women wouldn't be in snooker is simply because the women generally weren't accepted in a lot of clubs. They had locked doors for women, so they did in this country. For a lot of women, the only way they ever get into a club was tending bar. That was the only way they got in. You know, I mean, you can put the same. You can ask the same question about VP4. Why have we not got an awful lot more women in here? Well, the 1 ball, again, can always be used as a break ball, considering where the 10 ball and the 15 is. And Sergeresh isn't thinking about that whatsoever. Are you not listening to this conversation, Semi-Pro? I've already mentioned all of that. Yeah, all those. That's why, as I say, you need to have sponsorship. You need to have somebody to back you, and to do that, you have to get noticed as well. You have to be making a name for yourself. The word has to get about how good you are before people will take an interest in you. And once you have that financial backing, then that can cover the costs of accommodation and travel. But then the deal with sponsorship is, and that's the problem, is you have to produce the goods. You have to be making progress. You have to be getting deeper into tournaments and winning money. I mean, if you don't start putting your name about, then very quickly your sponsorship will disappear as well. Well, I could agree with you there, Semi-Pro. I'm doing well. I'm holding up at the moment, but I can rest assured I'm going for a caffeine kick after I've endured this. And the other clear thing is as well is that none of these guys have ever watched one of my streams and watched last year's tournament matches to see how players are going about trying to make runs. Well, okay, it's more difficult on this table. We've all agreed that, but not once tonight have we seen any progress, anything to give us hope that somebody's certainly going to kick into gear here and run into the 30s. It's not going to happen. But I mean, I have to say what I see, and I ain't seen anything good. The high run, I think, is 20 in this match. I do remember one of the players getting to 20, but it was that long ago, I can't remember who it was. And no shot again. The big draw again. No shot. Now, if it was a draw and slightly softer, he could have had a shot in that 12 ball. He could have bailed out in the 13. So again, the simple process of thinking about the pace of that draw shot ends the visit. And the safety was none too good either. Albeit it's only going to be the 13 ball because there's nothing else on. Now, 12 balls getting called this time, so they're all going all over the place. So that's a missed call. I've given up trying to predict what either of these two players is doing. I'm just going to let them go at it because I've got no clue, none whatsoever, in what they're trying to do here. There's no break ball here for a start. There's a possibility in the 15. And the 15's going to go, so there goes the break ball again. I mean, that was the one that had the best chance and the best possibility of in the break shot, and in it goes. So now it's got to be straight onto the side rail and have some momentum, but the spin has done it. Well, I said earlier the best shot of the night was the safety down to the short rail at that end. That was the second best shot of the night there. It got closer. There's nothing in the pack, but again, an easy hit in the 10 ball and a little gap between it and the 5. So again, it's a practice of getting deep up the table. If it scratches, it's fine. No harm done again. Well, we're going for the kick off the 10 ball into the corner, playing the 4 onto the 9 onto the 10. And that's a good shot in terms of a pot, but at that pace, nothing else doing. So again, quick look at the score. Woody with a 13-point lead. And he's not gone far enough. Again, he's the wrong side of the 4. We're now trying to drop square on that 5 ball, or high on it. I think he's gone too straight as well. Far too straight. Now, hang on a minute. Quick look, well, that's disturbed the pack. But he does have, again, a shot in the 1, but dead straight. So once again, he's got another chance. Although I don't like the way the 11 ball's sitting. Yeah, that's no good. he's going to miss the pack from that angle unless he banks and draws. Yeah, he's never going to hit the pack at that angle. Commentator's eye spotted that. And there's nothing doing in those bunch of balls. Now again, Woody has a chance to nail this to the short rail at the top end. He's going for all out in the pot, misses the pot, and again, with a slender lead, he's just allowed Sergeresh a chance to get back at him. So it's just going to keep going the same pattern from start to finish. That might go behind the 13. Wanted that to fall short in the 2. Now again, no shot. Well, just a thin edge of the 10 and maybe a little bit of helping right spin just to come into the back of the balls there off the 10. But maybe he spotted the combo, and there is a combo. But again, there's not a great break ball, so that he's going to be forced into taking the 10, which could have been a break ball. So once again, the possibility of the break balls is gone. The 3 ball would then be it. It's going to go. The 8 ball in the pack. So he may well be trying to get into the pack here to get the 8 ball onto the spot at this end. And the angle's there to get right into this pack here. But once again, he's not taking any time whatsoever to set himself up. It was more or less a hit and hope. There wasn't any degree of looking at the angle and using the angle that's there to run that cue ball into the pack. So Sergeresh once again. Another chance to put a few points on the board and just clear that deficit. Again, this one should move a couple of balls. Well, we're struggling to have a reliable break ball here. It could end up in something behind the pack. Who's to say? There's still a chance that the 9 or the 5, one way or another, could end up being nudged side to side to create a better break ball. Now there's a simple stun shot up to the right to pick out the 9 or the 5, but he's drawn into them. There was no need to draw into them. The simple stun would have got the cue ball to the spot. That is a very proper statement, Albie. I mean, although the pockets would be easier, they would certainly score more, but they just wouldn't get. They're not getting to the end of a rack. You know, they're not getting the right the pattern is non-existent to nominate that break ball and keep it there, or avoid it. There's no evidence of it, and no matter how big the pockets are, if you don't do it right, you won't score, and you won't progress to the next rack. You'll break down. You'll get in the wrong area. You'll block yourself off. You won't deal with clusters. You'll start running into balls you don't need to run into. And then that's how you end up somewhere like that. Absolutely nowhere. And it really frustrates me. Again, I keep going on about it. But these guys could do everything to help themselves by going through the proper thought process before every shot, looking at your alternatives. What are the options? Where can I put the ball that's going to make it most difficult? How do I get rid of this ball that gives me the choice of getting to the next ball? All of that simple stuff, simple logic that you would use, that players who are at a good level at this game use all the time. Well, the 9 ball is clearly on, but the cue ball's going nowhere other than just behind the pack like that. And then by not being careful enough, he's run it into the knuckle. Now, this is a simple safety, but you've got to get the cue ball behind the pack. And again, it's just careless. Although the 9 ball may well have gone partially safe. I don't think I could stand that. But I am desperate for a cup of coffee. Now you see, there's not one of these players is looking at that pack. I can tell. There's not one of them. You know, there's Woody just came to the table there. He's got a pot on. But neither him nor Sergeresh are paying a great deal of attention when they're nudging balls about. Or at least it doesn't become apparent to me as obvious that they're doing that. And again, you know, an easy 9 ball over the pocket, the cue ball running to nowhere in particular, and he ends up with no shot. So we've got barrel loads. You know, we've got what we're approaching 2 hours worth of material here to tell you how not to go about things if you're going to be any good in this tournament. This is an exact example of what you shouldn't be doing. Well, there's a break ball, I think, to open up the bunch. Let's have a look. Does the 11 go? I think he's nominating the 11. Oh yeah, it goes clean. But again, you just want to come back off that pack. You don't want to be going into them. You want to be nudging it and coming back. You see, he's gone forward. And again, a really poor shot and not obvious to the player that you want to be coming back off that bunch. You don't want to be running forward. Is that the video that I was talking about, Mike Sigel? I think it was Albie. That's the one that these guys should be watching. I mean, it's an old video, but it's bloody good in terms of opening your eyes and seeing shots and stuff like that. You know, doing the right things. Well, the good thing is we're nearer the end of this match now than we are the beginning of it. But this started off bad and didn't get any better, I'm afraid. And I don't think anybody will think I've been too harsh in my my judgment there. Again, sergeresh has ended up no man's land. Oh no, well, you're learning all the bad habits in this, Spud boy. You do not pay any attention to what's going on here. I mean, I am no expert, right? I'd be the first person to hold my hand up and say, I'm not an expert, but I'll tell you something. I know shit when I see it. And that's all I'll say. I would step over this every day of the week and avoid it. When a Scots. Can you type that again in English, please, Sharky? Or was that a typo? Well, like I say, I've repeated myself time and time again. If I see crap, that's how I'm calling it. And whether it upsets them that are playing or them that are watching, that's immaterial. I say it as I see it, and if it's good, it's good. If it's crap, that's what it gets described as, and I've seen nothing in this worth. It's not even worth keeping in my channel. This will drive viewers away for all the viewers I do have. I mean, I've only got 514. I might have lost 3 or 4 by the end of this match. And by the way, if you are on Twitch and you prefer watching on Twitch, that is not a problem. But if you take a minute, go to my YouTube channel and click subscribe. You don't have to watch it on YouTube, you just have to subscribe. Don't keep subscribing on Twitch. I've got 170 odd people on Twitch, and if those 170 odd went over to YouTube and subscribed on there, I'd have nearly 700. I'm trying to get to 1,000. It took me how many years have I been had a YouTube channel? About 8 years or more, and it's took me that length of time to get to 514. Well, where are we now? sergeresh back in front by 15 points. Once again, Woody with a bunch of balls to get rid of the deficit. I've got to say, now that you've mentioned it, Spud Boy, right? And you said earlier there that you're not learning anything in this match. Well, and again, I'm going to say it as I didn't see the match, right? And I don't want you to be cutting off your stream because I'm saying this, but for you only to have a high run of 6 balls in that game, that's shocking for a player that's played virtual pool for umpteen years. For you only to string 6 balls together in a race to 200 is shocking. And I would have slapped myself about the head if I was you. That's all I'm going to say. And you know that that is crap. That's him gone. He'll never be back. So the objective here for Woody is to get himself in front. Now, once again, let's try and convince Woody that there is a break ball there. It's at the head of the pack. There's a good gap, although again it's a tight area to get the cue ball into to be able to play that 4. But as he's now got nowhere near the 7, the 4 ball's going to have to go, and it's going to have to be the 7. And he's going to have to cut it. And he may well have to help this with a bit of spin to get it to hold a line here. And that's what happens when you get into a solid wall of balls. You end up like that. No, that's not harsh, semi-pro. Spud Boy is a far better player to be only scoring 6 balls in a race to 200. Come on. And I'm telling you, I'm doing that for his own good, because he's still in the one-loss side in a race to 150, and I'm expecting a lot more than 6 balls as a high run. That's his incentive, is to pull his finger out, get his act together, do the right things, think about what he's doing, look for the break ball, not run into balls when you don't need to, do all of that, and you'll score a far more bigger run than 6 balls. That's what I'm saying. I'm motivating him. I'm a sports psychologist. That's another job that I've gave myself. There's being harsh and there's being nicey-nicey. There's far too much of that goes on in the world. Oh, you only got a run of 6 balls in that match. Well, never mind. Better luck next time. That's bullshit. You tell it as you see it, and 6 is crap. I mean, if that was 6 by somebody who just walked in the door and never played virtual pool in their life, I could accept it. But, not from a long-term player. You know something, Semi? I think I don't know what my stats are, but I think I might have played, I think my high run in straight pool's 33. And I think I've only ever played it to I think I maybe played 1 tournament or something. But that was, I think, about it, because it was obviously played in Arab pockets as well. But I think that was it. I think it was 33. I've never been near it since. Cowboys the game. That's the one to go for. That's where the men are at. Cowboy. But you see, the other good thing, semi-pro, is at my age now and with the condition of my eyes, I know my limitations. So I steer well clear of snooker and everything now. I'm no good. I talk a far better game than I can ever play. That's one thing I've learned with this streaming carry on. I'm far better letting my mouth run than trying to pop balls. that is no secret. That's why Stephen Hendry's in the commentary box now. Well, we're back all square, or rather sergeresh has just gone back into the lead. No shot again. Well, like I said earlier, Spud Boy, I'm expecting a much better performance in your next match. I'll be keeping an eye on it. Whoever it is you're going to end up playing, or whether you have a match at the moment, I don't know. This is going to scratch if it's got the legs, which it has. You notice how I avoided your response there, Semi-Pro. I just glossed straight over that one. Because you know I'd be asking for such a big handicap. Bedhead, that's not an excuse. Serge usually plays pretty sensible. Straight, just not his game. I don't care. That's not a valid excuse. Because when you apply the same discipline to every game, and you apply the discipline you need in straight pool, you're not doing half the things that these players are doing in this game. You know, you can't use that as an excuse, especially if the other thing is what you should be doing is paying attention to what other players are doing. The first thing I'd be asking myself is, if I'd paid attention and looked at what the high runs were last year, I would say, well, even though the pockets were bigger, I need to go and look at what these guys were doing to get runs together, dealing with problem balls, looking for the break ball. All of that simple stuff. For a player like sergeresh, if he did that, and Woody as well, they wouldn't be offering up this sort of stuff for viewing. They'd be far better. So, I mean, all the guys in the tournament last year, none of them play straight pool. I mean, Larry only plays straight pool when this tournament's on. He never plays it any other time. Neither does Cobra, neither does Semi, neither does Bedhead. They're never in a straight pool tournament. They don't go into a room and play straight pool regularly. The only person that does that, and there's one person that does it, and that's One Eye. That's the only person in VP4 that regularly plays straight pool and only plays straight pool, and he's never in this tournament. He knows his limitations. Well, this match could be over. sergeresh is 6 away, and once again, there's no break ball. It's going to have to be the 4, and he's going to have to leave the cut angle in the 4 again. So it's a little soft draw off this 14 and leave the cut angle and smack that 4 in. And that is no good. That is, I mean, he should have just played the... What he should have done is drawn to there, bang, and smacked into the pack that way. And then he's having to force the cue ball around. And he's still not got enough balls there. He might have a combo. I think it might be going to the jaw, that one. It could go in if he's desperate enough. But he's now 2 away, and if he just went around the gap behind the pack, he could get back around and have a go at the combo. Oh, he went for the break, and now he's not in a shot. Yeah, the 2s are cut, but he's now in nothing. He could have just run around the pack, come into the table, and had a go at that combo. Yeah, I think he hadn't been here for a while. He might have been none too well, but he's been in and out now and again. Now, did Sergeresh call the bank or the cut? I think he's called the bank. And again, you've seen how the banks go, but it's never going to hold that line for the double bank. So Woody is on a knife edge here, and he's got a chance. This might be the most exciting part of this match. 2 ball is dead in the rail. Well, this is last chance saloon here for Woody, and he doesn't want to be taking this 2 ball down the rail. That is, if anything, he wants to do something where he's nudging that 2 if he can. But that 15 ball wouldn't do it. It's not enough angle to stun up and run into the 2. But the line was there to do it, but it wasn't enough to get the power in it. But I wouldn't be risking trying to cut that 2 ball. I'd be trying desperately to get a hit on it off something. Now, I think I would. I'd be desperate enough to try spinning the cue ball off that 9 into the rail. He's running out of balls. And of course, he's still got a couple of balls that are awkward. Now that 7 would go possibly, but you have to be here on it. Well, I think unless Woody can pot the 1 and draw to the 2, he's going to be stumped. But he's going to have to play a tight safety to stop Sergeresh getting that 1 ball that he needs. Well, Sharky, are you back for good, or have you got any intention of ever coming back to Virtual Pool 4? I mean, what's the deal? Not that we're saying you're not welcome to the stream, but as I say, I don't know. I'd need to look at your profile to see your activity in terms of when you were last in here and actually played anything. But it's been a long bloody time, too long. You should be in these tournaments. We need a bit of quality in here. Well, here we go. Sergeresh going all out for victory. I don't think it's got the legs, and that's a big, big mistake. He should have played safe, because now Woody has everything there for him if he can get the hit and get some of these out to pinch it, and that's the biggest mistake of the night. Sergeresh is going to roll the 15 up the table. Well, what, you're not working? I mean, I'm not trying to dig, but you do obviously have an internet connection, which is all that's required for Virtual Pool 4. Well, Sergeresh won it in the end. And that sums it up by 5 points. Let's have a quick look. Oh, thank God that's over. That was 2 hours and 12 minutes that I'm never going to get back in my life. Well, sergeresh is through to play the winner of Brain Pullout and Hairpig. And Brain Pullout and Hairpig are scheduled to play at 3 PM, whenever that is, February the 11th, which is like 5 days away. Further up, we've got the match. This is a match to watch on Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon, depending on where you are. We've got LS3 against Stub at 8 PM Tuesday night. Needless to say, I will be there. And the only other match I think that's on the schedule at the moment is a match between Sylvia and Larry. That's next week. Or the end of the week, whenever it is. It's 6 days away, put it that way, at 7:30 PM GMT, and that would be about it, and nothing much happening in the one-loss side. Well, I do believe we're going to see more than that match in the rest of this tournament until it thins out, until we get left with the type of quality that will adapt themselves a lot better than we have been seeing in some of the matches. We might have a little bit of a wait for that to happen. You see, that's the thing. I mean, everybody's got various things that affect them, especially if you're, got a bit of time in your hand to come in here and that sort of stuff, and various things that affect you. Virtual pool's not going to be top of your list in terms of looking after yourself, but it's good to see you've been here anyway, and you're welcome back anytime to any of the tournaments. Oh, don't do that, for God's sake. I hope Larry's left the building. I think he must have gone hours ago. I think he got bored. He's probably away playing Sylvia at Straight Pool, or he's in the lobby. Yeah, well, he's in away mode, but I hopefully never read that text here, because that's you just put the mockers on it. You've jinxed him. I never said that. Let's make a note of that. Right, so Tuesday night for LS3 and Stub. Once again, thanks to anybody who managed to stay the pace and see the end of this match. I hope to God either of them don't watch that, because that was X-rated in terms of quality, and I would hope that well, for sergeresh, the only way is up, and Woody as well, if they're going to survive any later in this tournament. Until we meet again, folks, thanks for your company. It's been a pleasure. Stay safe, take care, and hope to see you again. Sharky, and likewise for everybody else. I will bid you good night. I am off. I'll say that again. I'm off for a caffeine injection, and I'll bid you good night.